what you're saying is so beautiful, and it made me think, like, so in Canada, for example, Eastern Canada around the Iroquois Confederacy, like so Eastern arts tradition is something called the wampum belts, and wampum belts were like a whole bunch of different shells of white and purple that were broken down into bead sizes, and they would make, like, think of like WWE size belts for some of them, others of other sizes. In this tradition, this and this is also harkens to like Web3 and stuff for me, because so it's a belt where every bead may be a sentence, it may be a word, it may be like a certain piece of information, and the belt itself and the pattern that it makes is also like almost like the cover of a book in a way, like it's a symbolic representation of a treaty. So this was our old previous essentially blockchain of and the people. So anytime that a indigenous like democratic vote or an event around something taking place that was going to happen, they would have to recite the entire wampum belt from the oral tradition, from the conception of that. Like if they're like, let's say it was a development project, that is not the right thing because this is the modern world and this is different. But if there was a development project and there was the wampum belt of development project related to a certain land, they would have to read the whole thing so that everybody has the context of kind of how to move forward. So this is a long way for me to say that what you were saying, even about like the VR, AR capabilities, when we start to include some of this like indigenous thinking, essentially, is that we can create higher forms of like technological wampum belts that can encode human history and story almost in a way where like in some ways we're gonna lose it if we don't, because we're entering the time in which like all stories can be simultaneously almost like true and false with AI. If it can make these fantastical planes of the imaginal, how can we actually use it to concretize our collective experience of the history of everything, or the history of our individual culture or whatever that might be. And I think really having that indigenous conception of story for the purpose of embedding wisdom through essentially different media forms is going to be a required aspect of stepping into some of this AI age.
I think one of the biggest problems humanity faces is amnesia.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so the modern humans suffer a daily amnesia, and then they suffer a collective amnesia, and then a historical amnesia. And so, literally cannot remember. And so we get this situation where we sadly are perpetuating similar kinds of flaws and mistakes. And I think one of the beauties of the idea of AI technology is that it won't have to do that. When it thinks of how to solve a problem, it will also have all the iterations of how it tried to solve that problem beforehand already within its knowledge base. And it gives us that idea that we could then approach a problem with an entire basis of knowledge, not that amnesia controlled mind that looks like it's trying to solve it literally for the first time, not knowing also that while one culture or one city or one group of people or one company was trying to solve it over here, it was also being solved all these other places, all at the same time. This is an opportunity where the technology comes in and it kind of knocks on our mental door and says, hey, wake up. There is a collective knowledge base here that's taking place. This collective knowledge base is ultimately what is most valuable of what humans have created. Because the human body itself is so temporal, it's the knowledge base that isn't, and a tool that has the ability to draw upon that entire knowledge base in a unilateral, simultaneous fashion has a way to finally break that spell of amnesia on us and allows the culture to, improve upon what seems like the repetition of really disastrous consequences and problems that humans seem to be doing all the time.